Known for his unfiltered takes, Finebaum didn't just predict a loss for Deion Sanders and the Colorado Buffaloes against Georgia Tech, he unleashed a verbal grenade, declaring that the Yellow Jackets would destroy them. His words weren't cautious or hedged, they were a brutal dismissal, branding the Buffaloes as all flash, no discipline. It was a direct assault not just on their performance, but on the very culture Coach Prime has painstakingly built in Boulder. Within moments, the college football universe split in two, erupting into a maelstrom of outrage, debate, and anticipation. Social media exploded, fans and analysts clashed, and the upcoming Colorado-Georgia Tech matchup transformed from a routine Week 1 game into a cultural battleground. Has Finebaum crossed an unforgivable line? Will Sanders and his Buffaloes rise to silence him or crumble under the weight of his venomous prediction? This is the story of a controversy that transcends the gridiron, a clash of identity, respect, and the future of college football, set against the chaotic backdrop of August 2025's sports and entertainment frenzy. The moment Finebaum leaned into the camera on his ESPN platform, his voice dripping with certainty, the air shifted. The Colorado Buffaloes aren't built for this. Georgia Tech is going to destroy them, he declared, his words slicing through the anticipation surrounding Deion Sanders' third season at Colorado. This wasn't the usual analyst banter, the kind that hedges with "it could go either way." It was a guillotine, sharp and final, meant to leave no room for doubt. Finebaum didn't stop there. He labeled the Buffaloes all flash, no discipline, a phrase that struck like a dagger, undermining the swagger, the energy, and the unapologetic identity Sanders has instilled in a program that was a husk just 2 years ago. Colorado, under Coach Prime, had become a phenomenon. Sold-out stadiums, skyrocketing TV ratings, and a cultural magnetism that drew even casual fans to Boulder. Celebrities lined the sidelines, ticket sales soared, and the Buffaloes were no longer just a team. They were a movement. But Finebaum's words dismissed it all as smoke and mirrors, a fleeting spectacle destined to collapse. To Colorado's fervent supporters, it felt personal, a direct attack on the culture Sanders had built from the ground up. Neutral observers, caught in the crossfire, debated whether Finebaum's take was a fearless truth or a veiled jab at something deeper. The phrase, all flash, no discipline, carried weight beyond football, echoing a history of stereotypes often leveled at black athletes and coaches. When traditional powerhouses like Alabama or Ohio State dominate, analysts praise their execution and precision. But for a program led by Deion Sanders, with his gold chains, unapologetic swagger, and black cultural pride, the narrative shifts to flashy or cocky. To many, Finebaum's words weren't just a prediction, they were a coded critique, a dismissal of a program daring to redefine success on its own terms. The controversy snowballed as fans and media unearthed past clips of Finebaum using similar language against black coaches and players, fueling accusations of bias. What began as a bold prediction had morphed into a referendum on race, representation, and who gets to define legitimacy in the NCAA. Even those with no stake in the game were drawn into the vortex, forced to pick a side in a narrative no longer about first downs, but about identity and pride. Inside Colorado's locker room, the air crackled with defiance. Deion Sanders, a Hall of Famer who's thrived on doubt his entire career, didn't flinch. If anything, he leaned into the storm. Gathering his players after practice, his voice boomed with purpose. They don't believe in you, they don't believe in me, they never have. But that's why we're here, to prove them wrong every single Saturday. His words transformed Finebaum's insults into fuel, turning a national humiliation into a rallying cry. The media world became an inferno. ESPN, sensing the clicks, replayed Finebaum's clip on every morning show, splicing it with Sanders' fiery speeches to maximize the drama. Fox Sports' Skip Bayless pounced, dedicating a segment to tearing into Finebaum. "I've seen this before. Whenever a black coach brings something new, something vibrant, they say it won't last. Deion's building something real, and y'all better get used to it." His co-host Keyshawn Johnson pointed to the numbers. Sold-out stadiums, record-breaking viewership, and a revenue boom the NCAA hadn't seen in years. But not everyone backed Prime. The Colorado-Georgia Tech game, set for August 29th, 2025 at Folsom Field, was no longer just a Week 1 matchup. It was a spectacle, a cultural referendum. National outlets that might have overlooked the game circled it on the schedule, with ESPN's broadcast crew, Dave Pasch, Dusty Dvoracek, and Taylor McGregor, preparing for a ratings bonanza. Georgia Tech, led by quarterback Haynes King and running back Jamal Haynes embrace their role as spoilers, with fans taunting Colorado online. But in Boulder, Sanders framed the game as a chance to write history. "This is your shot," he told his players, "not just for you, but for everyone who's ever been told they don't belong." The Buffalo's journey, reviving a program left for dead, filling stadiums, and shattering viewership records, was about more than football. It was a cultural moment, a challenge to the NCAA's old guard, with its buttoned-up traditions and entrenched powerhouses. As kickoff loomed, the stakes couldn't be higher. A Georgia Tech victory would validate every critic who dismissed Colorado as a hyped-up fad, framing Sanders' revolution as a house of cards. But a Buffalo's win could flip the narrative, proving that swagger and substance aren't mutually exclusive. Sanders' team, rebuilt through the transfer portal with Kaiden Salter at quarterback and a retooled offensive line, faces a Georgia Tech squad with continuity and a punishing rushing attack. The game broadcast on ESPN at 8 p.m. ET is no longer about yards or points. It's about pride, legitimacy, and the right to shape college football's future. Will Colorado collapse under Finebaum's prophecy, or will they rise, silencing the doubters and cementing Prime's vision? The world will be watching, not just for a score, but for a verdict on a movement. Raider Nation, do you believe in Deion Sanders' revolution? Can the Buffaloes shut down Finebaum and Georgia Tech? Drop your thoughts below.